Hello and welcome to Commercial Real Estate Explained, where we help people make informed decisions about commercial real estate. A lot of our videos have been about purchasing commercial real estate, but here are some tips for leasing. We wanted to put together a little series to help folks that are leasing commercial space and not ready to buy just yet. So in this video, we're going to talk about what is a personal guarantee. This is something that often comes up and it makes people a little bit uncomfortable. Essentially, a personal guarantee is something that landlords frequently want and tenants frequently don't want, so it becomes a little bit of a subject of contention. So a personal guarantee really comes into importance when a commercial tenant is signing a lease under some sort of entity. So let's say an LLC or a corp. The reason they created that LLC is to give them an extra level of protection in the off chance, something comes after their business, they can't go after their personal assets. That's why they created that LLC. That is the exact reason why landlords often want personal guarantees on the lease. If they would allow you to just sign as your entity, they basically can only pursue that entity for the rent that you owe or any other part of that lease that you're committing to. So we get this game of tug of war between the landlord and the tenant, where the landlord would like to have a personal guarantee because they know that your personal assets are then on the line for that rent. And you're going to be, you have more skin in the game. You're going to be a lot more likely to pay that rent when you know that the landlord could essentially go after your personal assets, your home, if you don't pay that rent. Of course, it rarely comes to that, and there are a lot of landlords, some are a little more cutthroat than others, but really does it actually get to that point? But landlords want to know that if they're signing a lease with someone, in certain situations, they're going to push for that personal guarantee. They want to know that the tenant really has a lot of skin in the game. Of course, a tenant does not want to have that kind of liability where if their business goes bankrupt, essentially that's it, they walk away. And that's the reason that a landlord wants a personal guarantee. So, if you're signing a lease as yourself, you're basically personally guaranteeing it already. Attorneys, for example, are often structured as sole proprietors, and so they often sign as themselves. That essentially is a personal guarantee. But if you want to sign a lease under your corp, which is what I advise when possible, then you're going to have a conversation about a personal guarantee. So really what it comes down to, your leverage as a tenant to avoid a personal guarantee is going to depend on two things. It's going to depend on the strength of your corporate financials and how much you're asking the landlord to contribute. So, if you have a business that has been, been around for 20 years, you've been profitable for 20 years, you have great financials, lots of cash in the bank, that's something that a lot of business owners will lean on to say, hey, look, you don't need a personal guarantee from me because my corporation as an entity is so strong, it's been profitable, it has all this cash. You're not going to have trouble getting rent from this entity because it's so strong. So oftentimes, landlords want to see your business financials. That's a reasonable thing for them to ask. If you're a tenant and you don't want to provide your business financials and you also don't want to sign a personal guarantee, you're kind of pinning the landlord in a corner there and probably making them a little suspicious, where it's like, okay, they don't want to show us how strong their business is, but they also don't want to sign personally, like what's going on here. So the first thing is the strength of your business financials. If they're strong, you can oftentimes push a landlord to say, we're not signing a personal guarantee. We've been paying rent at another property for 15 years, never missed a payment. That should be good enough for you. The second part of it is, what is the landlord contributing? So if a landlord is giving you 6 months of free rent and they're spending $200,000 to remodel your space for you, you better believe they're going to look at your financials very, very high scrutiny, and they're probably going to want that personal guarantee. The reason being is it's not just the amount of rent that you're committing to in the lease, it's also all of those extra dollars they're investing essentially in your business in order to get you into their building. So a landlord, if they're investing heavily in a tenant with a lot of free rent and a lot of tenant improvements, they're going to be even more likely to push for a personal guarantee. So sometimes I'll be talking to business owners that, it's either a brand new entity or they're a relatively new business and they want to sign a lease and they want free rent and they want tenant improvements, but they don't want to sign a personal guarantee. I completely understand that. And if you can get away with it, then great for you. Some landlords are more worried about it than others, but you have to expect when your financials are not super established, if you don't have a long track record of paying rent and really strong financials, and you're asking the landlord to essentially invest in your business by giving you tenant improvement dollars, expect for them to ask for a personal guarantee. Now, as scary as personal guarantees are, keep in mind that your lease should give you the right to sublease. Now, this is really important. So, essentially, if things go bad for your business, it's not like your landlord can immediately call for all your rent due the first month that you have trouble. You have the option to bring in another tenant to sublease for you, basically pay rent to you and then you pay rent to the landlord. So that's a much more likely situation in the event your business completely fails, versus just losing your house immediately. That is something that happens over time and really in the most extreme circumstances. So as much as a personal guarantee is concerning and something you want to be aware of, definitely keep in mind that a lot of times it doesn't go there. What usually happens, and I remind people, is people pay their rent, they get along okay with their landlord, business goes decently, and they move on to the next year. That's what usually happens. Of course, you have to be ready for the worst too. So the other thing I should make very clear is that at Carlson O'Connell Commercial Real Estate, we are brokers, we are not attorneys. We always recommend you have a local commercial real estate attorney review your lease, have them explain to you what the personal guarantee language means, how that impacts you. This video is meant to be just kind of a high level of keep your eye out for the personal guarantee and understand why a landlord might want it and how a tenant can potentially avoid it, but really defer to your attorney as far as how that language works and how it could impact you. So hopefully this video helps clear a few things up. If you got any value, please hit subscribe. Once again, we're putting out one video a week, just trying to get some information out there to help people. If you could subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. Thanks, and have a great rest of your day.